There's four. Okay, continue. So there's four of us in from Folgate Insurance. There's myself, Scott Higgs, who heads up our SME and combined team. We've got Chris Page, who sits on our liability, he's head of liability in our London office, and Jamie Cowley, who's head of PI. So we've managed to get sort of four heads of section in to have a chat with you today and just go through a bit more about Folgate's offering and where we sit with Movo. Jordan and I have, well, we know each other. We've known each other for quite a while now. We tend to get referrals through from where Jordan's based. I think it's the Orpington office, isn't it, Jordan? You are. So
yeah, the head office area.
Yeah, so the stuff comes through from there. So today was just really just to refresh on where we are as a company and what we're doing, because you guys trade on Actress, which is a great system. Continue doing that. That's going to pick up all of the main sort of smaller trades that you guys see through your office daily. I'm assuming on like property owners and shopkeepers, offices and surgeries, and the smaller trade stuff. We don't have every trade on Actress as Folgate Insurance. We have our own online platform as well, which you probably, hopefully you've all got logins for. If you haven't, please come to me and let me know, and I'll make sure you've got access to it. But from what I can tell from my end, everybody should have a login who is a Movo AR. So you can either log through that system and put quotes through there. But today's really more to talk about the stuff that doesn't fit on Actress. Folgate has probably changed its outlook on things in maybe the last year or so, I would say. Well, I now head up a team where we've got a separate office who are account managers that specifically look after business that's generated from brokers. So the idea is the broker comes to us with a risk that might not fit on Actress, and depending on what category it fits into, we'll feed it into the underwriting team for the underwriters to look at, and we sort of sit between the underwriters and the broking desk. So it just makes it a little bit, we try to make it a little bit easier. Rather than you just send an email out to somebody and not get any response or not get any feedback, you've actually got now a point of contact. So you can come to myself, we've got Sean and Maddie that work with me as well, and what we call our broker account management team. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's a fairly new thing to Folgate. I set it up, it's been trading about 6 weeks now. I've always done it in the background as a business development manager, but before we were out on the road and doing lots of visits on the road, we still do that. And we still have got one guy who works in Birmingham with us, Tom, who's actually a BDM, and he is physically in a car going around visiting people. But the days of us coming to see you all the time and asking you for business, it's very time consuming for everybody. It breaks up your day. Whereas we've now set up our centre where we feed in directly to people like Scott, Chris and Jamie, depending on what business you've got. So the way to look at it is any renewals that you might have coming up in, say, August now, I'm assuming you're all looking at your August renewals, or you will be, is if you want to talk to any of the team, you can still talk to them direct. They'll still take phone calls from you and emails, but often it's better if it comes through what we call our broker account management centre first, if you want to. But the main guys, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you about what everything that's in our product guide and benefits guide. I think Jordan has probably shared that with most of you, or it's gone out on a circular. Maybe Jordan, if you're still there, I don't know whether you can confirm if you've done that recently.
Yeah, they have. So all those documents have gone out. All the stuff that's from you does go out, and it's on the portal now, ready for the launch in the first.
Yeah, perfect. So our product guide is actually on our system as well. It's on our QuoteMax system, which you can look at. There's under the support tab key. You can drop that down and have a look, and it's a nice little PDF document. I'd encourage everybody to have a quick look through it when you get 5 minutes. It just highlights the areas that we're pretty strong in, and the areas that we may want to help you with, and pure decline areas, which is stuff that clearly we're not able to write, or we don't have an appetite for that particular trade. So it's worth doing that. So what we're trying to do is actually narrow down the amount of quotes we get, but it will come down to quality of quotes rather than quantity of quotes, because Actress drives lots and lots of quotes through Actress. We get thousands and thousands of quotes through Actress, but it's the stuff we're looking at that maybe just sits outside of Actress, which is ideally what we're looking at. So we can do that on a presentation. You can phone us up on a phone call and ask us if it's one for us, links to a website, basic background on stuff. That's the type of trading we're starting to actually do. And I think Chris, who runs our liability team, we tend to see a lot of liability stuff now. The larger cases tends to come in on what we call a presentation first, or at least what we call a background of the business. So we understand a bit more about it before we even put it through the system. What we don't want is people keying lots of information onto our online portal, really. That's very time consuming for you. It can take 10 to 15 minutes to probably key a contractors through with all the information. Then somebody's got to review it at the other end and have a look at it. And what we don't want to be doing is coming back to you and saying, no, it's not one for us. We can't do that trade, unfortunately. We'd rather have that conversation before it even got to the computer. It just saves everybody a lot of time. It saves you disappointment. The worst thing you want to do is key on 5 pieces of business and get 5 declines. Whereas if you'd have picked the phone up on the first one, we could have said, no, we don't. We can steer you in the direction of the business that we want to be looking at. And then you can look at your renewal book. Perhaps it's coming up. Doesn't matter when it's coming up either on renewals. Don't just think of August. Even if you've got something up later on in the year, we've got a system in place where we can actually log some of these larger quotes, and we have somebody that will then, almost like a diary system, where they'll come back to you sort of 2-3 weeks before it's due and say, oh, you sent us this 3 months ago. Do you still want us to quote for it? Are you still looking to get terms for it? So that's another important side of the business. It's called a paper. We've simplified it and put it as a paper quote system. But we've got Nancy, who works in with Scott, who logs those on the combined. We've got a guy that works with Chris, Jack, who logs it on the liability side, or Misha might do. We've got a couple of people there that do that. I'm not sure we've got one on the PI, because the PI, we don't get loads and loads of the PI quotes. Jamie might talk to you about that in more detail, but PI system, we tend to try and encourage people, believe it or not, to put it through. If it fits our trades, just put it through our online system, because it should quote for that. So that's a little bit about what we've tried to develop and what we're trying to do going forward. So we've got the 2 guys that work with me, Sean and Maddie, have actually phoned most of the Bluefin Movo ARs already. They've made contact with them just to say this is the contact point for us. So it's really then just a case of you guys, once you get your inquiries in, or once you've got renewals that you're looking at, is then to just feed them through to us, and then we can then direct it into the underwriting team, or manage it with the underwriting team. Is there anything you want to add to that, Scott? Anything you've got want to talk about? Or Chris, can you hear me, Chris?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Do you want to just jump in another?
I'd pretty much reiterate what Paul just said, to be honest. Obviously, I had a chat with Jordan a couple of weeks ago on the golf day. And I guess the same thing as with the ARs coming on board. I think the best course of action is to put everything through Paul, Sean, and Maddie, to get the ball rolling with them and to see where we go on quote numbers, etc. Like I said, I think our product guide speaks for itself in terms of what we can offer, extensions we can add to also help you get the business over the line. To be honest, it's yeah, like Paul said, we don't want you to put quotes on the system to get no quotes. So we're quite happy to put VRI stuff, and then if you're happy, then we'll get it on the system to get a contract certain quote. So that's the way we try to work. So I think we're old-fashioned traders to a certain degree. We want brokers to phone us up and build up a relationship. So we don't just want blanket emails sent to 20 insurers and say, "Can you quote this, please?" So, you know, if you always say, just if you've got any questions, just please pick the phone up.
Yeah, on from where we're coming from, we're seeing a lot of presentations in the last, especially more so in the last month or 6 weeks, where a lot of insurers are changing their philosophy on what they want, and a lot of renewals are jumping up, and that's the stuff we want to get on top of, and want to try and help. Keep it as around the sort of same price as you had last year, but we're seeing so much more now, people pulling out of certain trades and that, and the market is definitely, I think, hardening, not to where we want it to be, but it's going in the right direction for a change. And as soon as we get a presentation in, we'll be on the phone to you and just seeing how we can help win the business for you. And if you're going for it direct, if it's a renewal, we'll try and get the price to where he was last year. But we're very much old school, where we like to have a chat with the brokers, and I think you get a better feel for the risk when you speak to them. And we still really want that to continue, even though you will speak to Maddie and Paul and and Sean, but we will always get in contact and discuss the risk with you and try and get to where we need to be with it. And that's about it from us, really. Mr. Cowley, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, just to follow on from what Paul, Chris, and Scott have said there. On the PI side, given market conditions at the moment, there's an awful lot of PI inquiries moving around the market. So the first port of call really would be the product underwriting guide, first and foremost, to make sure that it's an inquiry that is not a decline trade for us. After that, if it's not, the best thing to do is to feed it through into Paul and his team. If you have individual queries about whether or not something does fit within appetite, we're always happy to take a phone call. As Scott and Chris have said, we are quite old-fashioned that way, but in terms of inquiries coming through, it's a lot easier to either put something to bed quickly if it's not for us, rather than you guys submit something through online that then it's not for us, and it slows everything down, which is not something that we're not looking to do going forward. So yeah, that's it on the PI bit.
Excellent.
Just on the Actress stuff, like we don't see any of the referrals come through to us. So if any of the brokers see something that we're over on price, if they can give us a call, there's always movement, even on the Actress stuff, and we'll happily try and help on that as well. So we don't get to see the referrals. So if there's anything where, even if it looks like we're a little bit out, if they want to give us a call, we'd gladly look at it on the Actress stuff.
I was going to say,
really want to build that account.
I was going to say, Scott, likewise on the QuoteMac stuff. If there's stuff that you do put on the quote engine, on the QuoteMac system, and it auto quotes again, if we're a bit out, pick the phone up. We've got movement on that. So yeah, just don't think that's full and final.
On the Actress stuff, do you guys see it live on your end, or do we have to kind of give you the information? How do you see it on Actress? If we get like a price that's really inflated, we want to give you a call about it, can you guys automatically update at your end, or do we do the authorization code our end?
Chris?
Do you want me to answer that?
I don't know that because I haven't got any liability products on Actress. So,
well, let me answer it on the property owners, shopkeepers, and offices and surgeries. The answer is that we get a mirror image of that on the QuoteMac system. So when you've run it through Actress, it also appears back end on our QuoteMac system. So it will tell if it's a referrer, decline, or a quote. So that's a good point, Jordan, because we get so many quotes through Actress, and I'm talking thousands in a week. Like Scott's already said, it's very difficult for us to manage those. QuoteMac's different. We get between 60 and 100 quotes a day probably through QuoteMac, and although that sounds quite a lot, it's quite easy to look through the declines and the refers, and we do have a system of picking those up, but we don't tend to pick up the Actress quotes as such. And from Movo's point of view, we see a lot of property owners through Actress. So if you put one through, like Scott said, if we're a little bit out on price but you like the look of the rest of the policy, please just pick the phone up to the girls in the property owners team. We haven't got anybody from property owners on it today, but we've got a property owners section which works in the same office with Scott. They work downstairs, Scott's on the second floor. So it's what Chris has already said. We want to trade with people. The problem is our system, we can get it to generate a quote on any product we really want to, from £1 to £100,000. But the difficulty we don't have the knowledge on is what the rest of the market's saying. So it's worth us, or worth whoever it is that's broken it, whatever AR you are, wherever you are, and whatever office is, to give us a heads up, because you've got more of a feel for what the market's saying. We can only follow from what the computer says. We don't have other Actress insurers that we can access to see whether we're 20 quid out or whether we're £20 less. We don't have that luxury, but we're really guided by them, by what the ARs tell us, or what the broker says, or what the information they've got from the customer. So we find that more and more. You know, I see a lot of paper quotes. We had a large amount of paper quotes come in yesterday, which I've gone through. And the difficulty is the markets are all over the place at the moment. I've got Allianz quoting 30% more than what they were last year. I've got Aviva that have got a high rate on stuff. And we want to try and win business for you. That's what we're here to do. So it's just about managing what the costings are. But Actress is a good point, as Jordan said. It's a great system. It produces lots of quotes and lots of MI, lots of information. but sometimes we can't always sit top tier on Actress. We can on certain things. We know where we need to be on certain trades, but portfolio property is a prime example. That writes portfolio properties really, really well, but it might be it doesn't give enough discount on the second or third property for us to be suddenly competitive. So we do see that quite a lot. I think there was one went through yesterday with 13 properties from a broker, and we just happened to be about £130 out on a £7,000 case. Now I would just take up, we'll come up with something on that. That's not a problem. We want to be competitive because we like the risk. Unless you physically tell us what you need us to do, our computer system won't automatically do it. In an ideal world, we'd have a button where you could flex things up and down and you could change it, but we're a long way off doing that, where you're in control of it and then it refers back to the underwriter and then you can decide if you want to do it. So all I would say to the people that are listening on here today is just give us a call. If you can't get through to anybody in the underwriting team, because they do have busy spells, just come into me at the account management team here, and we'll take a message and get it through to the guys. So Actress is great. Listen, it works really, really well. We haven't got all of our products on there. The type of products that we tend to see away from that, we do a lot of commercial combined. That's one of our core trades at the moment, which is why we've got Scott on here, because he heads up that team. So on a commercial combined case, you'd probably want to send us something that's paying over £2,500–3,000 in premium, that sort of size thing. You'd want to send us probably a manual presentation. You'll have a far better understanding of it than just sending it on an email or maybe putting it through a quote portal. And if you've got pictures of it, if you know about the risk, if you've held it, if you're attacking it, just give us all that, as much info as you can on it. You'll be amazed the amount of things I get through with just a Word document. It says, please, can you quote best terms? Well, I don't even know what, we need to understand a bit more about the risk. We need to know if you hold it. We need to know if you're attacking it. We need to know about the holding market, if you can find out about that. When did the client last move his insurance? Does he change it every year? Will he change how price sensitive is he? Because it's not always about price. It might actually be about enhancing him and giving him a bit extra cover, which we can do on a lot of our contractor stuff. We've got some extra rinky dinks we can build in, which Chris has got control of. There's some high limits we can include. We can include efficacy cover on certain trades. We can do unlimited height on certain trades. There's lots of things we can do, but unless we actually have a full blown explanation on what you need us to do, then we can go for it. It's the same with the PI market as well. Jamie's seeing stuff all over the place with different trades. The market's gone crazy on PI at the moment. And what Jamie was saying, just on a point on that, we are writing a lot of excess of loss PI, because there seems to be markets that are withdrawing off their primary line. So they're pulling back from doing a 5 million line back to 2. And then we're getting asked to top up liability, or they will only write 5 million, whereas before they were writing high limits. So again, it's the same.
And excess PL as well, Paul.
And excess PL, yes. I was going to just say it's the same with the liability team as well. We're doing a lot of excess of loss on the liability side of things as well. I'm seeing quite a lot of inquiry for 10 over 10 at the moment for councils asking for 20 million. So yeah, that's happening. Those times are coming. Things are pushing up. I had an EL inquiry yesterday where they wanted 15 over 15 for some reason. It was a really weird amount. I've never seen one of those before, but the client wanted 30 million EL. I've never seen it, but listen, we can probably do something on that. So
and it's going to be on Actress soon as well, won't it, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's fairly new. I can share that with you now. That's going to go on to Actress. So you will have another product from us, which is excess of loss going on to Actress. I think when we've looked back over the last 6 months, the last 12 months, we've realised how much we've written through our own portal, and we thought it's a good opportunity to go onto Actress with it.
I think there's only one other carrier on there at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah.
AIG.
I think there's only AIG that are actively doing something. Somebody said to me Chubb have got a product on there, but I can't find anybody that's got a Chubb Actress agency that can run quotes through. If somebody's got one, I'd be grateful if you can run some terms, but
I have checked for you already, Paul, and we don't have it at the moment.
Yeah, I think I spoke to you, Jordan. I probably asked you first and said, what have you got? So for us, it's a great opportunity. For you guys, it's going to be almost like an auto quote system on excess of loss. And excess of loss is becoming really, really common now in the market. More and more people are wanting that top-up liability or that high limit of cover. So that's...
I have had a question from Kate in relation to your insurers. She just wants to know who the underlying insurers are for commercial products.
If they have, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we've had, if they do.
Sorry, I missed the question, Jordan.
The question was, as Kate Evans has asked, who are the underlying insurers?
Okay, it's a great question. If you jump onto our benefits guide, which is on our system, I think page 1 of that gives you a full breakdown. We've got various A-rated insurers. We've got Aspen, Axis, DAS do our legal expenses, but Folgate lead all of the contracts basically. So Folgate sit at the front, and then we have, depending on what line of business it is, we've got A-rated insurers behind us. I can't remember how they're split now. They're different.
80-20 for liability, 80% Aspen, 20% Folgate.
There we go.
Property-led businesses, 50% Folgate, 50% Access.
Yeah.
And we've also got an excess of loss binder, which is 95% Liberty, 5% Folgate.
And with the turnovers, how have you
So there's a breakdown. There's a good. It does give you an explanation. I think are you looking at the benefits guide, Chris?
No, just
You just know off the top of your
just
head.
know,
No more
yeah.
than- I should know that off the top of my head, but it is written in the benefits guide. I think it's page 2 or page 3. It clearly states who leads what and what contract they are.
It's on page 2 on it says security.
Page 2.
Yeah.
So page 2 of the benefit guides under security. It's in there black and white, and you can share that. It does actually break it down on the schedule of insurance as well. So if a policy then goes live, the schedule that you send out to the customer actually gives you a breakdown. It tells you in the wording how it's broken down. So the reason it's split is it's just to do with reinsurance costs. Folgate always lead the contract and underwrite the main contract and have the final say on stuff, but we just have certain follow insurers. That may tip. That's on a scale at the moment. So as Folgate grows and it becomes bigger, you'll probably find Folgate will take more of a share, or they'll take more of the risk. Having said that, we still write. There are binders and schemes that we write, and we write 100% of those. So Folgate will take a line on some schemes. So if you've got a scheme or you come across a scheme that's going, it needs to be existing business really, rather than a Dragon's Den moment. We're looking for stuff with existing income and existing sort of no claims bonus and loss ratios. That's really where we want to be. So something's got 3-year loss ratio on it, and it's got sort of over 250,000 really is where we need to be looking. So we do look at schemes and binders, and we have got a few of those on the go.
Yeah, didn't we have one of your guys who approached us a while back, Jordan, for XSPL on security guards? I'm trying to think who that was.
Yeah, it could have been. Would it have been
I'm trying to think who it
Golan
was.
or Charlie O'Mahony?
Can't remember. It was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it probably would have been Charlie, possibly.
Yeah.
That was sort of security insured scheme, but we have obviously other schemes. We've also got the tattoo one, which I think you guys have looked at in the past. And we did have a beauty and aesthetic scheme, which is for the Glamorgan office. I'm not sure if you can do either of those at the moment, could you?
I don't know where we went with those. We don't always.
And the Glamorgan, I think the Glamorgan office have got. It's not really a scheme as such, but we've got a little cleaners thing we do with the Glamorgan office. But
yeah, that one runs really well. And I think a lot of things can use
absolutely.
that one, which is quite good.
Good. You got any other questions in there, Jonathan, while we're there?
Do they still?
Not at the moment. Has anyone on the call got any questions they can direct to Folgate while they're here?
Scott, you might just want to go on mute, mate. I can hear Nancy quite.
Underwriting.
That's Misha at London, mate.
Oh, is it Misha? Oh, okay.
Let me see. So I couldn't hear that last bit. But does anyone have any questions quickly they want to ask while we've got the whole team here? I had a question, but I've now forgotten it.
I've got a contractors that I can send over to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like you said, maybe I'll have a chat. I'll get Scott to have a chat with you before it goes through, and then see whether it's something that you do like.
Yep.
But
the benefits guide will give you a good pointer on real key trades. We've got some real good strong. There's quite a big list in there actually on PI and on contractors. So. That's always worth a quick look. Is it paying over $1 million? Our ceiling point on contractors is £1 million. So if it's more than $1 million, we tend to do it on a wage roll turnover basis. If it's less than $1 million, we like to do it on a per cap basis.
yeah, this is $1 million plus.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Does it cause you issues if it's like high bona fides?
Depends how
not
high it
direct
is.
staff.
Yeah, ideally we want direct staff. We want as many direct staff as possible because it's just down to the control of the main client. It's always a grey area, bona fides, because you've always got that situation where is the contractor they're working for, is he supplying materials and tools, in which case it should really fall under his coming as labour
Yeah.
only, makes him more responsible on his EL. So it really depends on what they're doing. I think Chris does look at them. It just depends on what they're actually doing and what the risk looks like overall. If there's a genuine reason that they're using bona fides, it might be they're using skilled trades. They can't, it might be a plumbing and heating or electrical if it's a new house builder.
What sort of proportion on the bona fides are you talking, Morris?
It's like 70k direct and I think 700k bona fides.
Okay. And what's the turnover?
1.1 mil.
Okay.
So they want a PI as well. I think can you do the contractor's PI as well?
Yeah, under design and construct, that's possible. Again, it just depends what they're doing. We do a design and construct contract. It's probably one that we're going to need to go on a proposal form.
Okay.
I'm assuming
We've got one.
because it's over £500,000, so it would need to, if you've got a proposal form for it, Morris, we'd have a look at it. Have you got claims history with it as well? Has it been trading?
It has been trading. Yeah, it's claims free.
Is it trading more than 3 years? Because that's another one we have on contractors. We have a bit of a sort of, we like stuff with a no claims bonus behind it on contractors. Tradesmen we're more comfortable with. Yeah. But what we don't want is just suddenly a large business with a large contractor just been set up out the blue because history tells us that you.
I'll get it over to you, Paul.
Yeah, send it
over to you.
An email to me, Morris. You've got my email address. It's on the website. It's available. Yeah. If anybody hasn't got any contact details for us, please let me know, and I'll share emails. I'll do an all staff email around, or Jordan. If Jordan wants to share it around, I'm happy for you to do that, Jordan.
I had a quick question on the property owners element. I know your cap is 10 mil TSI per location. Are you looking to change it or increase that, or is it going to probably stay like that for the time being?
It's a good question. It has been looked at this year. I think the answer is at the beginning of 2022, we've got quite a few changes going on internally within the company, and that is something we've looked at. To get the reinsurance, you've got to balance it out against getting the reinsurance costs. Ideally, we'd want to probably have 20 million TSI as a company so we can pick up some larger cases, but we've limited ourselves because on the property, we don't write 100% property. So it's purely on the reinsurance costs. It's what the insurer acts. I think it's Axis on property with us. I think they like to limit themselves as well on exposure. So it's not always what Folgate are saying. Sometimes it's the second line insurer that we have on there is saying they want to limit their exposure. So we have looked at it. I've got a feeling off the top of my head, we will write a little bit more than 10 million. So if it does fall just over 10 million, I'm sure Justine said to me a while ago that we could potentially look at stuff up to 12 and 30.
Yeah, 12 and a half. Yeah.
Is that right, Scott?
Yeah, I'm sure they can. They've got a day one uplift increase on it, haven't they?
Yes. Yeah. So there is again, it's just a case of talking to us. We're not going to be in the market with composites. We're not going to be writing 30, 40 million pound blocks of flats. We're just not in that remit at the moment, but we are looking to push that on. Again, it's something that, we launched it on Actress. That was our first product to go live on Actress was the property owners, and it's gone really, really well. And I agree with what you're saying, Jordan. We probably might need to look at some larger line stuff, but again, let's have a conversation. We can have a chat about them.
Well, I know on Actress where you guys are set with the 10 million, you're pretty much leveled with the market. I think the only exception is actually MS Amlin that can do the higher referrals. So pretty much on Actress, you are on par with every other insurer. So in that aspect, you're bang on the money. It's just when it's another that falls over that is where you get stuck.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd love to say, we can write 20 million because that means we're going to pick up. It means we're then suddenly exposed to a lot larger cases and a lot larger claims potentially. So it's just the reinsurance cost behind it of making sure that we've, got everything in line to make, if that day does come and we have a large claim, we want to make sure that everything's correct. So I think we've just said it. We've capped it at that limit. I think when we looked at Actress and did the testing, it's what you said, Jordan. Most other people on there are probably sitting at 10 million TSI limit.
Yeah.
Jordan, how much of your business is put through Actress?
Oh, quite a lot of it. I'd say we, in total is probably 30, 35 million. I'd say probably around about 10 to 12 of that is probably put through Actress.
Okay.
And then the other question I've got, can you guys offer follow lines on the property owners aspect? Can you give a follow or can you be followed?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
No.
Okay.
No, that's something again we get asked for and we have looked at, but again, there's probably a reason behind that, Scott. Is there? I'm not sure. You might know.
Yeah, it's under the treaty at the moment, but it's something that they are actively looking to get on for next year, hopefully.
Scott, do you have a question?
Yeah, Paul. Nightclubs and restaurants, is that something you can look at all?
No, unfortunately not. We haven't written nightclubs for many years. I've been here 13 years, and I can't remember the day that we wrote nightclubs, to be honest. And restaurants, we've only dipped out of that. We dipped out of that earlier this year. So restaurants, takeaways, anything licensed, we pulled away from, because at the back end of last year, I ran some numbers in December, and we were doing an awful lot of restaurant quotes and not picking them up. And it just became uncompetitive and quite time consuming for us. So what we've done, we've let the market settle. We will come back into it, but we need to wait for some of these insurers that are writing them at the wrong premium or writing them ridiculously cheap to just burn themselves out. And then we will come back into the market. We can potentially write, we could write nightclubs if we wanted to, but we just choose not to. Funny enough, we write gentlemen's clubs, which is a real weird one. And we've got quite a large book of those. And I know, I'm not saying we like going to survey them, but it is something we've historically had. So there is that option for it, but licensed premises or restaurants, pubs, takeaways, the market's all over the place with those. And but there was a stage where there were so many people trying to write them, the prices got ridiculous, particularly on takeaways. So we felt our minimum premiums were just way above. Every conversation we had on the restaurant was, "Oh, you're too expensive." So
it's the same. It's the same thing with us, Paul, on roofers and scaffolders. We can write roofers and scaffolders, but we choose not to because the rates are too low.
Yeah.
So when that situation changes, then that'll be revisited.
Yeah, we will look at it again. We're not saying we don't want to write it because we haven't got the ability to. Yes, we can. But if we start putting quotes out there, all we're going to get back is you're too expensive, because we know what rate it needs to be at really to make money. And you'll see these insurers come in and out that last probably 2 or 3 years that write a lot of it. And then once the claims start rolling in, you've got that problem where the claim service isn't great, or worse still, they haven't got the money in the pot to pay the claims. And we don't want to be in that situation. We need to be.
Am I correct in thinking that APC can possibly look at the roofing and scaffolding type elements?
London Markets will look at high risk liability. They've got a high risk liability binder, but they're not going to look at 2 men in a lorry.
No, it's the larger stuff.
It's going to be minimum premium stuff. And I've got a feeling off the top of my head, they've got a 10k minimum premium on stuff like that. I will check that, but they've got quite high limits. So for them to take it into their Lloyd's high risk liability underwriter, he's going to want to look at something with a decent number on it. It's not going to be so yes, we can do that. We've also got an airside liability binder as well, which we don't see enough on, and we'd like to, maybe if anybody's got any airside liability, that's something to consider. So they might be a contractor that's going into an airport to do air conditioning on duty free side, or they're going into a hangar, or once you've gone through passport control, or the other side is the fence, as we call it, then airside liability, we have got that. Again, it's just a phone call into us. We've got Jerry that works on the London Market team that can look after that. By all means, use the London Market team. They're not there to pick up the smaller cases. They've got specialities. They do medical malpractice is their big one. Aviation is another one, because we've got the binder. High risk liability. Again, if you want to have a look at their website, they're under APC London Markets. They've got a very detailed website and proposal forms on there. Feel free to look at that.
Do you think they'll be able to do care homes as well?
Shareholds?
No, care homes.
Care home. We get asked for that a lot. That's an interesting one. What's happened to the market in care homes at the moment? I'm not really up with care homes. We do see them.
Would you be interested if I send you one?
No.
No.
I've got one as well, so you can have 2.
Yeah. Scott will tell you probably more than I will. There's a reason behind it.
New India used to be the dominant force in care homes. There's a lot of schemes out there, but I think it's getting tougher on care homes. We hear a lot more of them, but it's something.
They're not writing new business anymore.
Aren't they?
That's interesting.
Just
Wow.
renewing them.
So, Paul, do we know if the London Markets guys can write just a liability for care homes, including a med mal cover?
They potentially could. Then you've just got to find somebody to write the
do the
building.
property.
I think they have been asked on that.
Jim,
Again, it
look at
depends
care
on
homes?
what they're doing within the care home. I think it's all to do with the administration of.
They would look at the big ones.
They will look at them, won't they, Scott? Yeah.
Just
So
that's Tim.
you could potentially do the liability, because they can include medical malpractice. It just depends on what the care home's doing. If it's just helping people out of bed and bath in them, then that's a lot better risk than somebody that's actually administering or doing needles and tablets and all the other bits and pieces. So it depends what the staff are doing. Each one tends to be different, you know, and what sort of care it is. You know, is it elderly care? Is it young care? Is it special needs care? You know, if you give us a remit, listen, if you want to send it in, I can talk to the Lloyd's guys. I can get them to have a look at it. But again, you're going to have this minimum premium.
Well, I've got target premium of like 16,000, which is quite
okay.
Yeah, I think they'd look at that.
I think they'd consider that. Why don't you drop me an email afterwards? Just send it to me personally, or you're better off sending it to me, because then I'll forward it into the London market team and I'll copy you back into the email that I send in. So then you've got a paper trail. I mean, in fact, Roger, who runs he's the main guy on our London market team. I think he's he's been in quarantine because he's just flown back from somewhere and he's been in a hotel for 10 days with his 2 kids. So he's itching to write business. So why don't you, pop it across. We can consider it. He has got some homes for places like that. It's not something that Folgate do as a package yet. I just don't think we've ever done them, have we, Scott? Ever?
No. There was a lot of schemes out there at one stage, and
Towergate were the dominant scheme for that sort of stuff back in the day, I think.
we had a broker in the Wirral who were heavily into it, and they was doing it through New India, funny enough. So they'd come to us for a scheme or a binder once, but we just don't want to get it. New India was so cheap. Yeah.
We get asked for petrol stations a lot as well, because whoever was writing those has come out of the market. I've had 3 phone calls in the last week on petrol stations. Can you write them? So somebody somewhere has pulled away from it. There's a lot of markets where they've lost capacity in the last 6 months, and I think there's a few renewals. I've heard there's quite a large market out there that have pulled out of leisure. So we're seeing amusement arcades coming through, aren't we, Scott? We've had a few of those.
Hotels and amusement arcades we like a lot. So if we get any of them.
The key trades for us, hotels, commercial combined, contractors, excess of loss, and PI for benefits guide. It's worth having a look through the PI guide and the benefits one, because there's a lot of trades in there that we can do. There's quite a few in there we can't, which we always get asked for, like IFAs. Unfortunately, mortgage brokers is a decline for us as well, and insurance brokers. I don't know why.
I've also got one which is a management liability with EU exposure. Is that something Folgate might be interested in doing as well? It's 50-50. Yeah, management liability. So directors in office, and
it's a standalone D&O policy, is it?
Yeah.
We don't do standalone D&O, unfortunately.
I thought so.
Again, the London market team do, but they do it on the bigger program. So
yeah. Fair enough. Now
we don't have a little policy that you can just tuck away. It's not like a tradesman policy. We have looked at it. We've also looked at cyber policies in the past as well, but again, you can't pitch the premium. We've had them when we worked out an individual cyber policy. When I worked it out with Ian beginning of the year, I think the sort of premiums he was talking about would probably make it a really great policy, but you'd never be able to sell it because the premium would be probably more than what other people are quoting £200 for, where you get a phone line and you get an IT guy for 2 hours to try and help you out on the cyber stuff. So again, it's a difficult market. D&O in isolation. Listen, I'll have a look at your care home one, because that sounds like it's got a bit of premium. And if you've got a few of those floating around, let's have a look. Don't mind having a look at that. Either send it through to Jordan and get Jordan to send it on, or send it to me direct.
I think the market's going to get harder even more. I think a lot of MGAs are going to lose facilities at the end of the year or within the next 6 months. I think
Scott, me and Ian have seen 2 books of business in the last month.
Have you?
Liability books.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just going to get worse. Well, better for us, but worse for less people to go to and getting. I think insurers are realising that they're not making money, and they're starting to pull a few of these binders and facilities out there for some of these MGAs.
Excellent. Thanks, Scott. I think the message from today is just everybody stay in touch with us, either by phone or email. We're happy to do that. Let Actress take care of the products that we've got on there, because that will just auto quote and run through. If you need, like Scott said earlier, if you need us to have a look at anything particularly on Actress that you've put through, and you think it should be one for us and Actress is saying it isn't, again, it's just a phone call into the underwriting team. They can pick that up quite easily. I can look at it from my end. I've got access to it in the office here. So again, if you want to talk to me and say this is the reason I think it's probably not quoted, we can look to try and get it into a quote. Most things have got a story behind it why the system throws it out. There's always something that it doesn't like. You've not able to tick a box that says yes, you've had to tick no, or it's not a yes or a no, it's a maybe. Again, we haven't got an answer for that. So just talk to us, because it doesn't always fit the system. That's the stuff we're looking for at the moment, is the stuff that falls outside of auto quotes, because auto quotes are very easy. We're going into that world. We've all got Go Compare and compare the Meerkat and whatever it is that comes up with 10 quotes, and Actress is great at that, but it's really the stuff that falls outside of it, or multi-location, or whatever it might be. So I think if you take anything away from today, I'd say just stay in touch with the guys. You've met me, you know me now, I know Jordan, so you can always refer it back into Jordan and get Jordan to pop it across to us.
I'll make sure I'll share your details out again, Paul.
Excellent.
Just so everyone's got that as well. And
send
then,
it around,
I'll
Jordan.
remind that. Yeah,
I've now got a team. I've got 2 guys here that are, I wouldn't say they're massively experienced in products, but they both come from, one's come 7 years from a banking background, who's superb. And Maddie, who works with me, has come from AXA. Although she's worked on commercial motor, she's, again, really, really switched on and, really, really good. Service levels are excellent from both of them. You can't fault them. They're on stuff straight away. So if you want to feed stuff into us, make us, sorry about that, something going past in the motorbike. Make us as busy as you want to, but obviously on cases, we need a background on a case. I do still, I'll go back to what I said earlier. We do see a lot of brokers that just send us stuff and clearly they sent it to 10 insurers and there's no background story on it. And I wouldn't be putting that on the top of the pile and trying to help you with that. I really want to know the nuts and bolts of what's gone on with something. And you'll find that with all of the underwriters as well. When they'll come back to you, they're going to want to know the backstory on it, as I call it. We actually have what we call a risk capture form as well. So don't be put off if one of the guys rings you and starts asking you a load of questions that might not be on your email. That's not to trip anybody up. That's just to get a clearer picture on what we need to do to try and win the business for you, or to get it over the line. So, but renewals, anything you've got coming up, renewals, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be August. It can be September, November, December. We'll dial it on. We'll put it on our renewal book because we're building that pipeline all the time.
Can be July as well.
Or July. If you've got anything lastminute.com, we've got 9 days to go. And Pagey needs to obviously fill some capacity somewhere. So make him busy if you've got something. Get your one over, Morris. Sounds like Pagey's going to write that. He's got that look in his face, I can tell.
I will do.
Has anybody else got any other questions? Jordan, do you want to throw anything else in or add anything?
I've got nothing. Obviously, I said I'll share the details. I think everyone needs to bear in mind that if you do get an Actress rate or a quote Mac rate, get in touch with them and just say, look, can you anything you can do on it? So I recommend speaking to the guys on the risk to do come up and see if we can push that and get any discounts if need be, or max premium to help out.
Yeah, happy to do that. I would encourage everybody if they just make sure you've got a login for the QuakeMax system, because what I don't want you doing is sending stuff to us. We say, yeah, that looks really good. We're going to do it. Can you put it online? And then I get, I haven't got a login. I don't know how to do that. So please let's get that out the way now. So you make sure you've got a login and you've got access. If anybody hasn't, then go to Jordan or come to me direct, and I'll get Katie just to ping you a login, a username and a password. I'll even phone you up and just talk you through the system on how it works if you're not sure. Go on the system, have a look on the support tab. At the 4th one down, it says benefits guide. Just have a look at that. You can download it to your desktop. You can print it off. You can have a quick read through it, but it will give you a good overview on stuff that we really, really want. You'll be amazed the amount of people that I've sent that to, and then the following day they send me a scaffolding risk. It's unbelievable. I get it all the time. And you think, well, surely you must have looked at that, and you've seen scaffolding is our main decline trade and roofing. Having said that, we will look at XOL, excess loss on those higher trades. So it ideally wants to be sitting above a 5 million PL limit. So particularly if they're doing heat on roofing, but scaffolding, we tend to want it sitting above a 5. Chris might tell you different, but I think we ideally want to be following a rated insurer as well. There's a few unrated insurers out there writing scaffolding.
Yeah, we won't touch any. We won't follow any non-rated.
There we go.
Yeah.
So just remember that if you do come across a primary and you haven't got the primary, it's somewhere else, but it's with an insurer that's in Germany or Gibraltar or wherever they are, and they're not rated, we wouldn't want to put terms on an excess layer on it. It's just something that we've internally decided as a company it's not the thing to do. So
That's useful to know. What I'll do as well, Paul, is I will catch up with you probably the next week or two. We have our new intranet start launching up on the 1st or the 2nd of August. So it'd be good to touch base and see if you like what we've done there. And you can add any last bits on there, because in theory the teams can go on there and look up what type of trades and things they want to do.
If you want me to write anything for that, Jordan, I'm happy to do that. I'll do your Word doc or a page or something if you want to add something in. If you want to use the benefit guides and put that in there so they've got a link, encourage that as well. We are at the moment, just to quickly share, I mean, Folgate's expanding with staff-wise. We've employed a lot of people in the last few months, and we're a little bit behind on our staff guide. So I'm working on that at the moment in the background. There'll be a PDF document. It might not be on our website, but it might be something I can share with you, Jordan. You can pass it around and it gives you direct dials to people, which would be quite useful because we've all got direct dials. We're all on Teams. My mobile's always on. It's on 24 hours. You can don't ring me at 12 o'clock on a Saturday night, but you can phone me, you know, out of hours. I don't mind people phoning me. I get phone calls at 7:30 in the morning because that's when people are working. So again, you can share that around if you've got any questions. That's what we're here for. We're just here to try and make your life easy and just streamline it and make sure that you're not having your time wasted and we're not wasting your time with stuff that, you know, we clearly can't see. It's not all about volume business at the moment. It's more about picking up the right case and helping you out. And I don't know whether you've mentioned, obviously flexible commission is something we look at. I'll just quickly throw that in. No claims rebates or low claims rebates, whatever you want to put them. We can look at LTAs on larger cases as well. We're quite happy to do that. I've got a couple of big cases that are on LTA at the moment. So if you feel that's something that might secure the business or might help you going forward, again, just let us know, particularly on contractors and combined stuff. So good.
Well, thank you for that, guys. I really appreciate the time you spent today. I've got a recording as well, which we'll put on our internet so people can watch it in the future. But again, just thank you again for the time today. Hopefully everyone found it useful. And if you've got any questions that haven't been brought up today, I'll make sure that they're sent over to you guys. You can answer them or I'll put in contact with the team.
Lovely. Thanks for your time, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Jordan.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Al.
Thanks, Jordan.
See you later, guys. Thank you very much.
Catch up.
Bye.
See you there. Bye-bye.